Katubanjulire Save to Save Company oli bweru wa Uganda oyagala kujjayo ssente tuzitereke oba zikole ekintu kye ziteekebwa okuba nga zikola olina ettaka ly'otunda oba oyagala kugula ttaka oyagala national ID oba passport oyagala kutwala ku kisaawe oba kukujjayo oyagala amazzi amayonjo ku faamu yo oba wakaawo oyagala okuteerayo sola etalinamu yadde okuzimera kwonna oba oyagala looni ku magoba amatonotono weekwate Save to Save Company tusangibwa ku Apollo Kagwa Road nga wakayita ku Totalo eyebwayise tufune ku namba za simu 0759519192 Save to Save Company, we can be trusted.
Hello everyone, welcome in Know the Law program. My name is Samuel Senyonjo. I'm going to be taking you through the law of tenant and landlords. The same was assented to by the President in the month of June 7, 2022 last year. You need to know the relationship of a tenant and landlord. I'm going to be giving you the basics of this law, the things you should know about the tenant and then landlord law that was enacted last year in the month of June. Thank you Save to Save for supporting us. Thank you Nyuma Art Uganda for promoting the talents. Thank you Harvest Bible University for preparing the sequel. Okay, now our law or our act of tenant landlord is the effect that you can enter into that relationship of a tenant landlord. The same can be written or oral or both. It is up to you people. But then if you were renting a place of above 25 currency points, that is the equivalent of 500,000. If you are renting a place of 500,000, you have to write down that agreement. It has to be a written agreement that is enforceable by court. So you must write down if your room, if your premise, if your place, the place you are renting, your rental is beyond 500,000 per month. Now, what are the rights and duties of both parties, the landlord and the tenant? These you should know. For if you are a tenant, you are supposed to enjoy quiet possession. Say for example, maybe the landlord or the landlady is a drunkard. Is a drunkard and he pollutes the environment. He's used of shouting. He's more of a public nuisance. You are entitled to take the same in court. You are entitled to be given damages for that. Then the landlord is also entitled to quiet and still environment. If you are a tenant, you are not supposed to be a public nuisance. So if you have a tenant, he's a drunkard, he shouts, the same can be taken to court for damages. I think that is home. Now, are you a tenant? Know this. You are not supposed to fix fixtures in a rented premise. For example, nailing in the walls, that is prohibited. You cannot construct a certain room in that rented place. Number 2, you are not supposed to sublease or sublend to another person. You are not supposed to sublease maybe to any person or subrent. Yes, some people are used to that. They subrent, they sublease. No, that is prohibited by the law. You are supposed to get permission from the landlord of the place. Another number, if you are a tenant and you fail to pay rent for a period of 30 days, the landlord, without due course to court, can evict you. This is something crucial you should know. If you're a tenant and you've not been paying for a period of 30 days, the landlord may evict you. How is it done? The landlord may engage the local council and with the aid of the police, station police, to evict you. But before they do that, they are supposed to give you a notice of 30 days. If you are not given a notice of 30 days, you are not supposed to be evicted. Yeah, they can give you notice, or maybe they can give you money in advance equivalent to a month. That is when you are supposed to be evicted. You are entitled to pay the rent arrears, and if the rent arrears are not paid, the due course available to the landlord is to go to courts of law for any enforcement. Now, if you pay money, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to get a receipt of that money. Yeah, it is supposed to be done within 24 hours. I want to talk about repairs and then maintenance. They are the shared utilities. Say for example, security lights, maybe water, maybe compound, are supposed to be taken care of by the landlord. You have a security light somewhere and it is shared common, publicly shared by everyone, used by everyone. It is the landlord who is supposed to pay such bills, unless there is a written agreement to the contrary of that is home. And personal or individual repairs are supposed to be done by the landlord. Say for example, there have been a leakage, your tap is leaking, maybe your lights are brown. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to engage the landlord to repair the same, save where there has been negligence on part of the tenant. If you've been negligent, you are a tenant and you've been negligent, and maybe a light has blown and maybe a window has broken, who is supposed to take care of that? It is you, the tenant, and not the landlord. Let me talk about urgent repairs. There are circumstances where the repairs are urgent and the landlord is not around. The tenant may repair the same and get reimbursement from the landlord or the landlord. From the landlord, they are supposed to take care of the repairs, but then they are supposed to be reimbursed within 14 days. You give up your requisition for reimbursement from the landlord. Take note of that. Then, if also the landlord does some repairs that were supposed to be done by the tenant, what is the remedy to the landlord? Is supposed to be reimbursed if there was negligence on part of the tenant. I want to talk about termination by the landlord. If there is termination, or if the landlord wants to terminate, if you've been renting for a period of 1 week, or you pay rent after 1 week, the landlord is supposed to give you a notice of 7 days for you to vacate the place. If you've been giving a periodic rent of a month, you are supposed to be given a notice of 1 month or 30 days to vacate the place. And then if you've been giving rent periodically, most so for those who are renting commercial buildings, for a period of a year, you've been giving rent, paying for a full year, you are supposed to be given 60 days for you to vacate the place. Not this business of landlords getting other tenants who are paying highly, and maybe they tell you to vacate the place, that you vacate the place in 5 days. No, 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 no. If you've been paying monthly, you are supposed to be given 30 days. If you've been paying annually, you're supposed to be given 60 days. If you've been paying weekly, you're supposed to be given 7 days. Take note of that. Another important section you're supposed to take note of is that one of increment in rent fee. If you've been renting and if you're a landlord and want to increase rent fee, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to give a notice of 60 days to this person that in the next 60 days I want to add on some money, and the percentage should not be beyond 10%. If you want to do some increment, it is supposed to be 10%, not beyond that. It can be 8, 5, but it cannot go beyond 10%. Take note of that. And then lastly, on increment, you are not supposed to make an increment not beyond a period of 12 months. It is supposed to be an interval of 12 months. So that means you cannot make an increment twice a year, only once a year, and after a notice of 30 days. What about decreasing the rent fee? Yes, it can happen when it happens where a landlord promised a certain service, say for example parking, say for example Wi-Fi. You paid money, but that money had Wi-Fi and parking on it, but then the landlord stops to give you Wi-Fi, stops to give you parking. He's supposed to chop off the money that was meant to be for parking and Wi-Fi. That is something important, and you should not. As I'm winding up, let me talk about security fee. How does it work? It works on part of the landlord. The landlord may ask for security fee, though it is not supposed to go beyond a month. He may say that you're going to give me a fee for a month, advance for a month. Why? To take good care of whatever you might have spoiled during your stay in his or her rentals. That is something crucial. But landlord may not ask for advance at any cost, save when you agree. I want to conclude like this. This law of tenant and landlords is governed by that act. But then if you have an agreement prior, that agreement may be binding as long as you've agreed on it. But you should know that the written law or the acts of parliament takes precedent. That is the law of tenant and then landlords. Be very careful. You don't need to be dragged in courts of law for this or that. Know the law. I'm Samuel Senyonjo. Please subscribe, please share, please comment. Thank you Safety Save for having supported us. Thank you Numa Art for promoting the talents. I also want to thank Harvest Teaching Ministries and Harvest Bible University. May the good Lord bless you. Konde was on the camera. Bye bye.
Katubanjulire Save to Save Company oli bweru wa Uganda oyagala kujjayo sente tuzitereke oba zikole ekyenyi kyeziteekebwa okubanga zikola. Olina ettaka ly'otunda oba oyagala kugula ttaka, oyagala national ID oba passport, oyagala kutwala ku kisaawe oba kukujjayo, oyagala amazzi amayonjo ku faamu yo oba awakaawo, oyagala okuteerayo sola etalinamu yadde okuzimera kwonna, oba oyagala looni ku magoba amatonotono, weekwate Save to Save Company. Tusangibwa ku Sir Apollo Kagwa Road nga wakayita ku Totalo eyebwayise. Tufune ku namba za simu 0759519192. Save to Save Company. We can be trusted.